Hi, my name is Kurt Crandall. I am in the American History 2010 Tuesday, Thursday, 9:30 a.m. classes, and this is my video presentation on the Seminole Wars. The Seminole Wars can be broken down into three separate wars, all consisting of just skirmishes mostly. There is no truly famous American battle in U.S. history that consists of any of these battles in these wars. However, it was the longest lasting war and the most costly that the United States was ever engaged in to remove a population. The First Seminole War lasts from 1817 to 1818. The Second Seminole War being the truly longest, most costly, and most lives lost on both sides from 1835 to 1842, and the Third Seminole War from 1855 to 1858. This is truly just the United States trying to get rid of the last few hundred Seminole warriors hiding in the Everglades. The First Seminole War, the Treaty of Paris obviously is outside of the First Seminole War, but it is significant because Spain regains control of Florida from Britain. This creates a buffer from Florida and the rest of the United States. So this ends up being a great sanctuary for runaway slaves, especially with Seminole bands taking them in and allowing these runaway slaves to embrace their traditions and to live free lives. However, when they run away, the United States then send in U.S. authorities to try to reclaim them. This ends up being Andrew Jackson with about 3,000 to 4,000 men, half being Creek Indians that are promised lands they will never receive. He ends up destroying Seminole power west of the Suwannee River somewhat easily, but he then goes on to attack Spanish settlements and capture Spanish forts such as St. Mark's and Pensacola. This is big because Spain realizes that they can't truly defend Florida and they need to sign a treaty while they can. So they sign the Adam-Onis Treaty, which essentially Florida now belongs to the United States, and Spain's $5 million debt is nullified. Once again, a treaty that's outside of the war is influential. The Treaty of Military Creek sends the Seminole warriors to south of present-day Ocala. They were given 4 million acres. However, they were asked to give up the land they were living on, and they were also a part of this treaty. They had to agree to discontinue hiding runaway slaves. Most Seminoles don't agree to living on this reservation, and very, very few get rid of the hidden runaway slaves they have. So confrontation is building up. The Indian Removal Act of 1830, passed by Andrew Jackson, the law states that the purpose of the act is to remove all Indians to land west of the Mississippi River. Florida being one of the first because it's great land to grow cotton, which was a great money builder in these days. So there's the Treaty of Fort Gibson that 6 Seminole scouts agreed to move their party to Oklahoma. However, they weren't told specifically where they'd be living. They weren't told who they'd be living with. And luckily for them, a warrior comes along under the name of Osceola that knows white society, and he knows this treaty is not going to be good for the Seminole warriors. So Osceola decides that he is not a black man. It's said that he was stated as saying, Am I a Negro slave? My skin is dark, but not black. I am an Indian, a Seminole. The white man shall not make me black. I will make the white man red with blood, and then blacken him in the sun and rain, where the wolf shall gnaw his bones, and the buzzard shall live on his flesh. As you can imagine, this was quite the rally cry, and Osceola did what he said he was going to do. He immediately goes out and assassinates General Wiley Thompson, who was the agent that was to negotiate treaties with the Indians for the Fort Gibson Treaty. After this, the United States government decided they needed to send reinforcements, even though there was few trained foot soldiers in Florida. So the Dade Massacre ends up being the worst defeat of U.S. troops to American Indian warriors ever. 110 soldiers, many of them untrained artillery soldiers, were ordered from Fort Brooke to bolster forces at Fort King Ocala. However, halfway through, they are ambushed by Osceola and his warriors, and very, very few survive. Although this is a big win for the Seminole Warriors, it truly leads to more men being sent to Florida, more forts being brought up. As these forts are brought up, the United States starts a crisscrossing technique where they take boats and land. And although the Seminole Warriors are great at moving through these lands, their families are not, and their tribes are not. The government realizes this and they start taking on the tribes. So you could say that the family tribes and their societies was the center of mass for the Seminole Warriors, and the U.S. government realizes this and starts taking them out. Once Osceola is captured under a false flag of truce, he refuses any treaty. He is sent to a prison in South Carolina where he dies from throat inflammation and is actually beheaded before being buried. So, not the best ending. However, once Osceola is out, the Seminoles they lose that umph and it slowly starts to fade off. This was, like I said, the most costly of all the wars of the removal fought by the United States government. As many as 2,000 U.S. soldiers were killed in this war. The Third Seminole War, there's even fewer skirmishes in this war. In December 20th of 1855, escalating white encroachments brought an attack on an army camp, and a series of small skirmishes, largely over land, again ensued. Congress, what they decided to do was they appropriated over more than $1 million to capture by bribe or bullet. So white settlers were given bounty, and Indians were also given money if they surrendered. By May 4th, 1858, the last of the famous Seminole warriors, Billy Bowlegs, his family is captured. They take his granddaughter, so of course he surrenders, and he takes the most of the remaining few Seminoles with him. However, a small band of 120 or so under Sam Jones do stay hidden in the Big Cypress Swamp. And they said that this has led to about 3,000 ancestors of still Seminole warriors still living in Florida today. However, May 8th, 1858, United States officially declares the Third Seminole War officially over. However, the Seminole warriors never did truly surrender, and could be said that they were unconquered.